So the next action on that item is set of 2 public hearings inside the next city council meeting on the 17th, next Tuesday. And like the newspaper article said, without the tax abatement, the project probably certainly will not move forward. So there's that. Happy to talk to anyone about abatements or anything along those lines, but you all have been hearing and discussing these issues for quite a while. The next item is the Good Stuff LLC. That's the microdistillery that you heard. You met Randy Betts last month, and Randy is now moving forward with a lease of the 308 River Street, the old Hopkinson's Camera, and will be applying to the MLCC for his liquor license. Adjacent to the district as the McKinsey Housing Development, I put it in the report because it will put a number of people, potentially up to 22 units, around 22 units to be precise. So we expect that to be moving forward in 2024. In terms of business with the DDA, everything's going well, and you know, we're really, again, I will just say I'm very grateful to Carmen for her attention to detail and her work. So it's a good team effort.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to our ad hoc committees. The facade grant, Mark?
I will keep talking. So we have completed our paperwork assignments. There was kind of a heavy bureaucratic lift for us to sign up as a vendor for the state. There were some things we needed to put together and put into that and explore. And so that's been completed. We should expect a draft agreement from MEDC within a week. Or at least 2 weeks, but certainly they said a week. So we should be able to move forward on that. That's $150,000, which we match with our 50, as we've discussed. We will then start to work with the 5 grantees, the sub-grantees from that grant, and work through the expectations there. And we'll have grant agreements that we'll base off of the language we get from MEDC for performance measures, and we'll make sure that we can do that. But that will be one of the things we'll have to do in the next month, is to review that language from MEDC and draft facade restoration initiative grant agreements for the 5.
And so we have those set for, that's what our project will be for this next year, this 24 year.
Yeah, this current fiscal
Right.
year.
Okay.
Now, if there's anything left over, and I don't know how it will go, but if anything's left over, we will put out another round for this current fiscal year. But we need to see how some things shake out before we can get there. I have heard and have business or building owners have expressed interest in another round of facade grants, and I think we're up to 5 or 6 people who have contacted us wanting to have access to facade grants if they're available. So there's a great need, and if we can try to work through that, we should.
I have sent a couple people your way that I've met who were under the understanding they had to have a $50,000 match. And I said, no, that's not how it goes. That's a $50,000 match that we're doing. The facades are different, so I'm glad that people are reaching out to you. But I've run into a couple people downtown.
That underscores an effort that I need to maybe mention. We need to work on the web page and change that so there's good current update information. We need to connect with Barry and do that, but we should do that soon, because that's part of the misinformation, is that people are calling us and saying, hey, it says that things are due in 2021. Well, okay, that's obviously old. So we do need to endeavor to do that.
Okay, good. How about the streetscape?
Yes. Things are going very well. Please mark your calendars for October 30th, 4 to 6 p.m. That's our next public engagement period. I had a preview yesterday with the Fleiss and Van Brick team. They are working through the playbook, so we will see something very soon. They have markups of suggestions. They're fine-tuning that. When we come to the next engagement meeting, there'll be a summary table, some of the suggested improvements, and they will also have a separate table on the Marina Park and some of the Riverwalk connectors. So I think it's going to be an interesting conversation, but they are getting very close. I think, based on what I saw yesterday, that they're going to be delivering the playbook on time, if not before. So October 30th is the last engagement piece, and we want to encourage people to come along and kind of do that. One other thing that we talked through yesterday was the contractors, devising a survey for the community, for us and for the community, that would help prioritize what's important for the streetscape. Some of the potential avenues there that would be asked would be, what's more important from a list? Is it getting people downtown, safe, accessible, getting through downtown? Is it amenities or beauty? And ask, because when we start, what we're getting to is, when we get to the part where things start to cost us money, we're going to have to make choices, and then City Council will have to hear that, and they will have to make choices on how they partner with the DDA. All of that will spell out what our priorities are, because there will be things like snow melt on the sidewalks. There will be, how much beautification do we do? How much Riverwalk connection do we do? And we're not going to be able to afford all of the ideas. So how, maybe we can, I doubt it, but we'll have to prioritize at that point. So they're going to help us with that ahead of time.
So just, it was beautiful, and I really enjoyed seeing the Riverwalk, designs. But was that in our initial? Yeah, I thought it was great. It's like, however, I thought it was just a street.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some creative folks. Being that we tasked them with parking and traffic, it kind of bled over
Sure.
into accessibility and transportation. So
I get it. I think it's important. I like the renderings and the thoughts. And as we make our choices for the streetscape, having that visual of there has to be that connection anyways. We have to have that flow. So I think having at least some ideas of what the Riverwalk might look like, or those transition spots, I think will help us to say, this might be important, but this may not, in the area that we are looking at.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they did that. It's just, I saw dollar signs.
a lot of, well, and let me make one more point for you all to think about. One of the potential discussions related to parking is that you have parking basically one level up, and we have lots of underutilized parking. In fact, what we saw was, and from the parking study, is about 30% utilization in the summertime. So we have a lot of parking up there. If the issues for using that parking are accessibility, then one of the most expensive ideas that has come forward, and that was from the last public engagement piece from one of our DDA board members, is that maybe an elevator could be used to get from the Water Street level to the River Street level. And so that's a very expensive piece, but that actually makes sense from an accessibility piece, but that's going to be about $500,000.
Oh, I just wish a pot of gold would just fall on us.
Yes.
Well, that wouldn't even go very far nowadays. All right, thank you, Mark. Any other questions for Mark? Okay. Social District and Events Committee. We had met a couple months ago. We were to schedule another appointment. There was just like no ability to kind of get our schedules all together. So we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. Bill especially had some documents and things that he wanted to include into our discussions so that we have a very clear kind of, our idea is to have like a folder or something that's available, and if we update our website to have a link in there where all these documents would come out so that people who are interested in doing the events could go to this site, hit that link or get the packet, and then have their checklist to go down. And Lindsay, Dan, you guys have been like full of a fount of information on how to do these processes and stuff so that it makes it easier for the next person. The goal is to encourage, and we want people to have events, and we want people to come downtown, and we want people to kind of enjoy the experience of being downtown, not just shop and leave, but to experience the downtown. But as a DDA and as part of a group, I think Tyler and myself are the only ones left that know how hard it is to get volunteers to get these events going. You know that too. You know, the DDA does not want to take on the responsibility of the events, but wants to support and encourage and guide people to be able to do the events. The one thing I was not sure about is that would there be, I know they have to go to the city. As I was looking through all the paperwork, they have to go to the city, get the approval from the council. But should or do we want to be able to say, yes, this event is appropriate, or this event is not? Does the DDA want to have a say in all that?
So I don't know, anytime you add another public body layer onto something that isn't required, I always kind of tend to lean towards don't add more than what's necessary.
Just leave it to the city council to make that decision?
But on the events topic, right, I think like the summer, like August before I left in September for Little River, we had done an RFP for an event company to contract with. And I think there should be a possibility among the DDA and other community groups to look at bringing in and contracting with a company that would manage public events, and then also they could charge for entrance to their events and things like that and make revenue that way. So I think that's a possibility that we should be exploring.
Yeah, I could see where you'd get, like even our visitors bureau, the chamber, ourselves, maybe the county, you know, the city. I can see that could be another collaborative. I thought at the one time the city was talking about having somebody brought on their team that would kind of manage, not events, but, you know, like, I don't know, not beautification either, but just kind of be the coordinator of all these different groups that are doing projects in the city. I don't know if that ever went any further. I heard, you know, whispers of that, but you know, that sounds like kind of the same thing. Somebody who's aware and can pull all these different entities together.
I would prefer that we look at a company that has quite a good experience doing this. Traverse City area has a number of them. But when you look at the amount of profit that Hops and Props and different events like that makes, I don't think that like a base contract would even be that unattainable for this community with multiple groups participating in that contract. And then that company can run the events probably better than what we were able to as a public organization with volunteers. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
So let's put this on our radar. Maybe a little bit of investigating at that cost, because I could see this as a city and county benefit. You know, we have lots of events throughout the Manistee County, and so everyone, and I suspect that, I don't know for sure, but I suspect several of them are really struggling to keep this going. So this may be an answer to having somebody professionally who knows how to coordinate that and get that going, and be able to kind of solicit enough volunteers and stuff to, I mean, we all do it or can do it, we've all done it in our lives, but it's like you do all that work besides your full-time job or everything else that's going on. So whenever you get a chance, you can call for volunteers. So this would allow a laser focus for somebody to kind of be able to know the pitfalls and know the successes that can be done. So it's a great idea. You wouldn't happen to have that RFP from?
I
It's
have,
probably in
I have the laptop that I had, because I worked off my own laptop at that time. I have that, but I don't think I've turned that on in years. But it might be in some of the old files.
It might be, and
Okay.
we do go back sometimes and can search and find things in that era, but we'd have to do a concerted look.
But I don't think it wouldn't be that difficult to make up a new RFP and go out and research new companies. I mean, the companies I sent RFPs to 5 years ago or so might not even be in business.
Yeah. I was just curious what your statements and stuff were on focus. I'm sure, knowing you had some research in there too. So.
Kind of to go along with this just a little bit. So Tuesday mornings, the Business Connect will kind of merge this in a different direction. It's every Tuesday morning, it's the same people that show up and they're not productive. They're not productive for really anybody's hour that we're there. So we are going to discontinue the online, the Zoom. We're going to encourage that people come, and we're going to kind of start talking about the focus of this meeting on once a month on Tuesday mornings is going to be events. Like-minded people downtown getting together, proposing what event that they might want to do. So this kind of talking about bringing somebody in could be a great guide for this group, and we're really going to encourage this group to be a working group. Like if you just want to know about what things are going on, kind of read about it in the paper. But if you want to come and roll up your sleeves and be a part of this and dig in, and I shouldn't have said that, like read about it in the paper, like anybody is welcome, but we're really going to encourage it to be a working group. And come being ready to volunteer. Everybody has some really great strengths, whether you're the one that's going to do some fundraising or you're the one that's on the phone. But let's bring some strengths of our community together to start working on events or proposing events or ideas. So, but maybe a professional would be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With that group too, would they come for something that would help them in education? Like I'm thinking, managing difficult people. Could be a training. Our craze training from the sheriff, run, fight, hide. Active shooter stuff. Would that group also would they benefit from that too? Can we think of other things that we can bring in for them? I don't know if that would solidify the group a little bit more, get more people coming.
I really like that idea because we're not always going to be working at an event.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that we are, but there's only so much, and then only so many same people can do the same work. And,
Sure.
So that,
Yeah.
certainly would be an idea for downtown, for people to, the education piece.
Yeah, I'm thinking, we could host something and say, hey, you can all come and we'll do a training for you or something like that. Just provide extra, we all know the world we're living in now, and being in the business before, it's like managing difficult people is an art. So if we can think of anything or things that we can try to tap into our community. I know Sheriff Gutowski he would do any trainings. He's magnificent at it. We had him train all of our staff at mental health. He's just so willing to do that stuff. So just some thoughts, and if you ever think of anything, just reach out to me.
I like that input. Yeah, the meetings have to be more productive, and we have to be working towards something, or people can just be working at their businesses and getting more done.
Sure,
So-
yeah, no, it's like
Yeah.
if I have to go listen to this again or go do my work or get
Right.
ready for the day, yeah,
Right.
it's my livelihood. I get it. Excellent ideas, thank you. We will try to reschedule. I know I was on vacation, Bill was doing baby stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you had your stuff planned, so we were all kind of busy, so we'll reschedule. Under old business, I don't have anything listed. I don't think there's anything there. Under new business, let me just back up. Old business, the minutes that I was reading yesterday, at the end was questions for beautification. What we want to see for this next year in beautification. Did you get anything? How do we want to do this? I mean, I've got ideas, but should I just send them privately? Is this something we should put under old business to kind of be able to make sure we're getting the feedback from everybody?
Yeah, great question. So actually, Mark and I, we sat down, and mainly Mark, he put together a form that allowed the DDA board member to submit any ideas for that beautification line item.
Okay.
So any project that can be submitted to be discussed at the next meeting. The main goal for this is to get this ahead of time, so that way we can close out at the end of the fiscal year, so we're not waiting until June and then it laps over into the next fiscal year. So the whole goal is to have that form, which is ready and can be emailed after this meeting, to help you guys answer the questions of what you might want to see come out of that line item.
Okay.
Anything else to add, Mark?
So we'll send it out to everybody after the meeting?
Yep.
If it's ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, yeah, it is.
So in doing that, I love that idea. Thank you. I'm also wondering, like, I might think painting the light posts pink is beautifying the downtown. And 97% of the community would go, that's horrible, So are we going to, or should the community members maybe contact us? Are we going to kind of say, these are ideas? It's that kind of thing. I don't want to open the door too big, because it's like we could debate about what people think are, is appropriate or not appropriate. We all have our different opinions. But, like, are we the experts? I'm not sure. I'm trying to balance this.
Yeah. I think our idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's been a few nights since we slept on that, but I think that the idea was to circulate the form amongst you all as board members. You're appointed to serve here. You know the downtown. You're intimately involved in decision-making with this board. I would feel that it would be appropriate for you to come up with things. And if you know people that have ideas, let's certainly channel them. But we'd like to, I think, this is my opinion, I'd like to work directly with you all as members.
All right. That's
And
good.
the idea behind it is you guys all know what the budget is for that line item. So you can all pick projects that are attainable for what's in the budget as well. Sorry, Mark, I had to
No,
say
always
it.
bringing it back to money, I love it. That's
No,
why,
it's
that's why
okay.
she's here.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
But that's that. And if there's anything also too, I mean, we will have to follow city procedures and so forth to make any changes. So the pink light post might be a great idea, and you all might like it. We still will have to run that past the HDC. So that sort of thing, I think, would be a gray area. Tyler can correct me, but we'll have to check ourselves with that.
And that's, a positive, having Bill on this committee. He can even go to the council, behind in a work study and kind of get their input too. Good, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. It's excellent. Anybody want to make a public comment or 5 minutes of time? Yes, and you are?
I'm, excuse me, I'm Jeff Burns, live up in Bear Lake. We've met before, Karen.
Yes.
I own the building up in Bear Lake where Central Wellness Network now has their operations, and it's gone very well. We just 2 weeks ago bought 335 River Street. It used to be Sarah's hair salon.
Oh, yeah.
And just closed on that 2 weeks ago, so just wanted to show up and start to get involved, and we are looking for a tenant, so any ideas on what the downtown area, it's like I need to talk to Mark, whatever the area is looking for, I'd be happy to go out. And then we're right now doing some cleanup inside. There may be some facade work. I keep hearing the word facade grants, and so maybe just an update on the color or something that's a bit faded. I think structurally, I looked it over before we bought the building, and I think structurally it's pretty sound, but I think maybe an update on the color. But anyhow, I just want to be involved, and we're hoping to get a good tenant in there, and any feedback from the community of what you're looking for down here, we'll pursue it. So thank you.
Well, I can say a couple of things. One, I know what quality work you do and how passionate you are about your projects. So it's been a pleasure working with you up in Bear Lake.
Thank you.
Secondly, does the historic district still regulate color? Okay, so we do have the historic district. I didn't find that out until I bought paint, and then somebody showed up and said, nope. So reach out to them for color spots or whatever they'll call them. But really welcome. It's a nice place, and I look forward to having you on the River Street.
Yeah, definitely. We're excited to be here, and may do another property down the road, but for now we'll get this one up and running, and then see what happens. But appreciate the time.
That's exciting. Thank you. Welcome. Comments by board members? I have one more. As looking through our bills, and this is something Tyler and I have faced before, there is a bill for $17,000 to the city that has one and then $17,000. We have asked repeatedly, can we get some sort of idea what we're paying for? It's part of the contract, I get it. We pay some 68 something now for services. But to me, I would love to know what services I'm getting. How do I evaluate my contract success without knowing what's been done? I've said this repeatedly. I've asked for this repeatedly. I think I'm going on years of asking for this. I don't know how long I've been here, Tyler. I'm the old person on the group.
16.
But it just truly, if they spent $17,000 painting light posts, I would just like to know that. And if there's 6 or 7 light posts that aren't done, I'm going to ask that question. Well, did you run out of time, or was it not cost effective at this point? It's just contract management 101. So let's ask again. I'm sorry Bill isn't here. I'd ask him directly too, but I don't understand why we can't get a little bit more. I'm not asking for, you spent 16, you had 16 screws that you had to pay for. No, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for a general description of what $17,000 went to. That's all.
May I?
Yes, you may.
Respond? So, our discussions have gone, so let me back up for context. December of last year, we started talking about the budget. We're empowering you as staff to think about the budget. The item of the city services agreement comes up. We talk about it. Unfortunately, we miss a few members during that discussion. And then we send a budget off to the city to have further, more wholesome, respectful discussions. Where we landed with that process was to continue the city services contract, and then we were to negotiate further a new contract. Bill and Kyle, who are not here today, have on their to-do list to sit down and talk about that and negotiate. And so that's where we're at. We need to encourage them to do that. Here's the trigger. Under the current city services contract, we need to give the city 180-day notice from the beginning of the new fiscal year, which means if we're going to terminate that contract and renegotiate, we need to notify the city, Bill, of this before December. So we only have like 1 or 2 more months of this. So we do need to ask Bill and Kyle to get together and have that discussion, and then we'll be able to move forward. And I will, I know that the city services contract is one that you all have discussed a great deal. It's one of our greater budgetary pressures, along with administration and eventually bonding. We're going to have some serious discussions on what that looks like, what our partnerships look like, and who's paying for what. And you know, primarily, I'll just make a statement. I know that there are things that the city does for downtown. The downtown is part of the city. And, you know, this services contract is a way to claw back TIF revenues in order to help with the city budget. All of that's policy that needs to be discussed, and priorities need to be discussed, and figure out whether we can use the full tools here, or we are going to help offset city budget shortfalls. That's, you know, that's it. I probably said too much as a staff person, but, you know, we need to address these issues in order to deal with the budget and what it is that we're trying to accomplish with the downtown. This is a great tool. This is a great group of people, and we're thinking very clearly and deeply about problems. This is one thing that we should encourage people to get back together and do. Mm-hmm. But we don't, it's not personal. No. It's not, it's policy. And are we making policy decisions that benefit our city? That's all we're trying to do.
Great. Tyler?
Not getting too into the weeds there, but in that conversation, I think as a DDA board, we need to consider that the tax funds that we are responsible for oversight over are not only taxes from city jurisdiction. There's multiple different jurisdictions that the TIF collects. So I think when we have those discussions with the city, that needs to be a point of consideration. And definitely something that DDA board members should have that perspective when having that conversation.
I want to reiterate too.
Which is why Karen is on this board in the first place, because I had done a presentation to the County Board of Commissioners, and the county felt like there should be a Board of Commissioner on the DDA board. Yeah,
so we had like $200-some thousand in the pot. Yeah. I was like, wait, we got a lot of money in there. Where's our representation? It is not personal. It is about what's best for the downtown and how we do business. Sometimes in the years that I've done that negotiating and working with Tyler to build that contract, it's gotten tough because I think people's emotions and feelings about stuff, you know, were triggered, and it's just not an easy conversation. It wasn't an easy negotiation. However, it's not about putting blame, and this is not about micromanaging. This is just good business. I have never in my 25 years of owning a business have just written a $17,000 check without knowing what I bought. So it's just business. And I think this discussion does need to go on. I think that we do need to kind of say, hey, you know, what are we getting and what can we get? And there's accountabilities in the contract. Again, this is contract management 101. I've got several contracts. I know how to do this. But I can't give you any kind of update, and I'm sure you can't, as to the success of our contract. You know, so every year when we go to renegotiate, it's like, well, did we meet it? Did it not meet it? Those type of things. So not personal, it's business. I would like it to continue to have a conversation. We need to do something soon, and we do need to look at this in the big picture. Those, we have met many of the workers that work here on the downtown. There's assigned workers, fabulous people. They will help you out, they will do whatever. It is not about the workers at all. Like I said, I've just been so impressed by, you know, so many of them and the hard work that they do. But again, just tell me what I'm paying for. That's all I'm asking for. Kind of triggered another thought, but it ran through my brain, so you're all lucky. It's gone. So is there anything else? Well, thank you, everybody. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn.
Can I get a motion? Who's going to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, can I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support. Thank you.